You're watching WEBN News.
Welcome to the final episode of Off the Bench. I'm your host, Tyler Englander. I am joined by two guys as cool as the other side of the pillow, Angel Salcedo and Justin Pham. Gentlemen, we've got a lot to get to tonight. After reaching the Eastern Conference Finals last year, the Boston Celtics look to take the next step this season. Instead, Brad Stevens' team has underperformed, currently sitting in 6th in the Eastern Conference. Guys, what's wrong with the C's?
Well, Tyler, let me just get started here. It's not Brad Stevens. It's never been Brad Stevens. If we go back to when Isaiah Thomas was on the Celtics, it wasn't Brad Stevens then. Isaiah Thomas took that team with Avery Bradley and Terry Rozier as his backup options to the Eastern Conference Finals, but now all of a sudden, now we have Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, two players that are scoring more than 25 points per game. Now we're struggling to make 5th. We're in 6th in the Eastern Conference. It's not Brad Stevens. It's Danny Ainge. It's always been Danny Ainge. Listen, I can't say this enough. Danny Ainge has had no history of good draft picks except Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Let's go through his draft picks. He has Robert Williams, since Jason Tatum, Robert Williams, Tremont Waters, Grant Williams, Matisse Thybulle, Romeo Langford, Desmond Bane, Peyton Pritchard, and Aaron Nesmith. Name me one name in what I just said right there that is a good, solid NBA player. You can't. It's Danny Ainge.
Angel, you're crazy, okay? The Celtics don't have anything wrong, and basically what you just said, Matisse Thybulle, that's a great pick. He's on the Philadelphia 76ers.
Well, that's the point. He's not with us anymore. So clearly Danny Ainge made the decision to trade him.
But he had to make that decision because he wanted to go after other picks. He did it to remove salary. He had to make those moves. Look, there's nothing wrong with the C's right now. All you need is time. The reason why they're sitting so low in the standings is because they've been dealing with injuries. Kemba Walker, knee injury at the beginning of the year. Jaylen Brown dealing with a shoulder injury. Robert Williams dealing with a knee injury. Tatum dealing with an ankle injury. They haven't been healthy the entire year. You need to wait and see what the team can do at full strength. If anything, Danny Ainge has been making moves ever since they traded away the big three. He helped build the roster to what it is today. That's why they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals.
And then he had to tear it apart.
Tear what apart? What did he tear apart?
Tearing the entire roster apart. Danny Ainge and the Boston Celtics have no history of good basketball play except the big three when it was Rajon Rondo, Paul Pierce, and Kevin Garnett. Since then, what has Danny Ainge done? What has the Celtics done?
Wait. So you're telling
They've been hopelessly average. This year, they are 16th in rebounding, 12th in defense, 13th in offense. Our third option is Marcus Smart. He's averaging 13 points a game.
Wait. So you're telling me last year when they made the Eastern Conference Finals and lost Game 1 on a momentum swinging play by Bam Adebayo, that's a down year for them?
Justin, I'm not interested in what happened. We ended
What
last
do you
season with
just
what?
said that they
But
didn't
what
have
did
a
we
good
end that
team?
last season with? What did we end last season with? Nothing, right? And it's going to
Second,
happen again.
You were out of
Average
the Eastern
isn't good
Conference
enough.
Finals to a red-hot Miami
This
Heat
is
team.
the difference. This is the difference between you and I. Average isn't good enough for me. The Celtics have been average for 30 years. Enough is enough. Danny Ainge needs to go.
The team is finally getting healthy, Angel. Before they lost to Chicago the other day, they won 6 in a row. You're going to tell me that that's really average? They beat the Lakers, they beat the Nuggets, and they beat the Trailblazers. Really, that's average.
Okay, so let's go through Danny Ainge's last moves then. Since Danny Ainge is a great executive, one of the best in the league, may I add. A lot of NBA fans seem to think that. So, this year, he chooses to hold on to Kemba Walker and sells Gordon Hayward, which might have been a good move since we had so many wings. Kemba Walker is now averaging 17 and 5 on
After coming off a knee injury.
39% from the field. A max contract player receiving $141 million for 17 points.
He's
on
coming
40%
off
shooting.
a major knee
But hold
injury,
on.
which ended his playoffs.
But
Do you
hold
not
on.
remember?
But hold on. He then adds Jeff Teague, who is now on the Bucks because he was terrible. He then adds Tristan Thompson, which is hopelessly average. Then he brings on Evan Fournier and his $17 million contract to average 11 points a game.
Fournier is he's out
$17
with
million
COVID.
a year. Yeah, okay, that's the point. You bring on this 19 point per game scorer, another wing. We just sold a max contract wing. Why are we signing another wing? It makes no sense. We just gave away Gordon Hayward.
The reason why Jaylen Brown has been able to succeed this year is because the absence of Gordon Hayward. It's allowed him to grow. It's allowed him to become the all-star that he is today.
I would agree. So why do we have another wing? Why do we have another max contract wing?
You're
Why
saying
do we
that
sign
Evan Fournier is a
Fournier?
max contract wing.
He's getting paid $17 million.
That's not a max contract thing. He's your sixth man. He's supposed to bring firepower off the bench.
So you would pay $17 million for 11 points per game?
He hasn't played with the Celtics
He was
for more than a
averaging
week.
18 on Orlando. What shot attempts is he going to get in Boston with
Who's
Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown as the
when
first two
Jaylen Brown
options?
and Jason Tatum are on the bench?
He's not the option. Anyways,
Then who's the option? Who's the option off the bench?
That's the point, that they don't have any. That's why he
No,
signed
that's
Jabari Parker.
what he's supposed to be. How can you blame Danny Ainge when he brings in the solution to the problem, but the solution doesn't turn out well because he's sick?
So is Jabari Parker the solution? Because he brought on Jabari Parker to solve the bench scoring problem. Is he the solution now?
He could be the solution. He's trying to figure out the solution.
See, you give him too many. He could. He might be. It's been might be for 15 years. I want to know that they will be.
Well, I want to interject here. We're up against the clock really quickly. Angel sounds like it's time for Danny Ainge to go. Justin, what's the fix for the Celtics? 18 years for Danny Ainge in Boston, 1 championship. Brad Stevens has been here 6-7 years, no championships. Do they have to make a move or just let everything run its course?
Listen, Tatum's under contract for 4 more years. Jaylen Brown is under contract for 3. You have a 4-year window to build a championship team. Kemba Walker's contract is in 2 years, and Marcus Smart will be gone after next year. There's a 4-year window for Danny Ainge to build a contending team, and he's shown he can because the team made it to the Eastern Conference Finals last year.
Keep in mind, this is exactly what we said when we signed Kyrie Irving, and since then we finished 4th in the Eastern Conference, 3rd in the Eastern Conference, and now we're 6th in the Eastern Conference.
We'll get to Kyrie.
So we've gotten literally nothing out of that max contract, that superstar that was supposed to take us to glory. Now we have nothing.
We are going to get to Kyrie and the Brooklyn Nets. A little more association talk. The MVP race is coming into focus. Steph Curry, Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic, they are leading the race. Guys, we'll start with Justin. Who is the NBA MVP right now?
It should be unanimous, Tyler. It's Nikola Jokic. The guy is averaging almost a triple-double, and he's 7 feet tall. The Nuggets offense literally runs through Jokic after Murray got injured. They're 4th in the West right now. And if you compare Jokic to Shaq's MVP year, who you could argue was one of the most dominant players in the NBA, he's averaging only 4 less points, 2 less rebounds, 5 more assists in 5 less minutes. If we were to look at the per 36 averages of both players, Jokic is averaging the same amount of points, which is 27 points per game, 1 less rebound, and still 5 more assists while shooting 40% from 3. This guy is the Nuggets offense. He is the sun that the Nuggets revolve around.
Oh my goodness. He is the Nuggets.
Yes.
The Nuggets with Jamal Murray. The Nuggets
Who is
with
injured right
Michael
now,
Porter
by the way.
Jr.
Who's injured.
Exactly. He just got injured 2 days
Yes.
ago. Let's not act like he's been injured for half the season. What are we talking about here?
They've won their last 4 games since Murray's gone down.
I believe it's my turn.
Okay.
Most valuable player. What does that mean, Tyler? Most valuable player. What does that mean? Tell me.
Most valuable means who's most important.
Okay.
The problem with where you're going, because I know where you're going, is if you look at the standings,
We can look at the standings back when Russell Westbrook won the MVP. We can also look at the well, that Bulls team was very good, but Derrick Rose won that, even though LeBron was by far the better player that season. Derrick Rose won the MVP that season because he was the most valuable. Russell Westbrook won the MVP because he was the most valuable. Stephen Curry should win the MVP because he is the most valuable. It isn't rocket science, folks. I can go through the stats for you right here. Stephen Curry has single-handedly brought them to 1 game back from the 8th seed. They are 29-30 right now. He was on an 11-game, 30-point streak, averaging 40 a game in that 11-game span. He passed Wilt Chamberlain as a leading Warrior scorer. He's averaging 31, 6, and 6 on 49% shooting. He takes most of his shots from 30 feet, but he's making almost half of them. That's ridiculous. Curry has become the first player in league history to hit more than 70 threes in a 10-game span. He has 6 games this season with 10 made threes. The rest of the NBA has only 5. Now, here's the big one. Here's the big one. With Curry on the floor, the Warriors are outscoring opponents by plus 3.5 points per 100 possessions. When he's on the bench, the opposition is winning by 7.1 points. He is that team. When he's not playing, they lose, almost guaranteed. It's an auto win. I don't understand how we can even have a conversation about most valuable player when he is the Warriors.
Let me go back to this thing you just said earlier. You were talking about Derrick Rose, Russell Westbrook being the most important players on the team. What's the difference between those teams and the Golden State Warriors of this year? They made the playoffs, Angel.
They're in the 8th seed right now.
They're
the
not.
Warriors
They're
the
the
Warriors are in the 9th seed. Okay, but it's the
they're barely at 500.
They're
That's
in the
a play-in
tournament.
team.
Okay, so what's the difference? How are you going to tell me that they're not in the playoffs if there's 15 games remaining in the season and they're right on the cusp of it? And even if they do finish, even if they do finish on the 9th seed, they still have the play-in game. So you can't even make that argument.
Then I'll make a
different
argument for you. What about the Lakers in 06-07, huh? When Kobe was averaging 35 points a game, scoring 81 points against the Raptors. Who won MVP that year, Angel?
Okay, well, that's the point. That's the conversation here. The argument isn't, is Stephen Curry or Nikola Jokic the MVP? The argument is, what does NBA MVP mean?
No, the question is,
because
who is going to be MVP?
Kobe Bryant should have won MVP that year, just like Shaq should have won the MVP when Steve Nash won 2 years in a row.
No, but the thing is, he didn't. Steve Nash won the MVP. He was
so you're
going to
give Nikola Jokic just a consolation MVP?
No, it's not a consolation MVP. Have you
That's
looked
exactly
at the
what
numbers?
it is.
No, it's not. You look; he's averaging a triple-double.
Did Steve Nash deserve those 2 MVPs? Tell me.
He deserved one of them. I'll tell you that. And I'll tell you this: Jokic is averaging a triple-double, which Harden averaged with the year he won
He's not
an
averaging
MVP.
a triple-double.
When he's
Don't lie.
Fine, 1 assist shy of a triple-double. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm so sorry. But Westbrook won the MVP when he was averaging a triple-double, and Harden won the MVP when he was averaging close to a triple-double. Both players.
James Harden's team was a great team. Let's put
that out there. They were
the Nuggets
second seed in the West.
A great team. The Nuggets finished in the bubble as a great team, and they were a great team.
They are a great team.
We're
what
only
are you
going to know
about?
now that Jamal Murray is injured. We're only going to know if Nikola Jokic really is that valuable now that Jamal Murray is injured. I guarantee you.
They've won their last 4 games, and in those last 4 games, Angel, he's averaging even better. He's had a triple-double in 3 of the last 4 games.
That's great. Jamal Murray just got injured, so we're going to see.
Now
that he has all the defensive attention on him and not Jamal Murray, we're going to see how valuable he is. Stephen Curry literally has 5 people guarding him every possession. And he's still dropping 30 on 50% shooting. Why is this an argument?
Sustainable.
Why
Have you seen the beginning of the year? He wasn't shooting that well. You're talking about
because he was coming
off
a season-ending injury. He hadn't played the entire last season. Of course he's not going to shoot well when he first comes back. What kind of question is that?
You're talking about a small sample size in which he's going on the hottest run since we've seen Kobe Bryant go on in 06-07. This is a small sample size. Over the whole course of the year, Angel, we're not talking about a month. We're not talking about May. We're not talking about March. We're talking about over the whole year who was the best player. It's Nikola Jokic.
It very well might be in the next 15 games. I'm telling you right now, in the next 15 games, once Nikola Jokic has defenses, game planning solely for him, not for Jamal Murray, the other superstar on that team, then we're going to see, is Nikola Jokic really who he thinks he is?
Did you see the way Murray started the season? Were we watching the same Nuggets team? Because Murray got off to a slow start. Jokic was the one carrying the team throughout the whole year.
When a superstar starts a game 0 for 5, do you just say, oh, he missed his first 5, so I'm not going to guard him?
No.
Nobody said defense. He's still Jamal Murray. Teams are still game planning for him. He's still taking attention off of Nikola Jokic.
Yeah, but who was winning those games at the beginning of the year? Well, it wasn't Murray. It was Jokic. Who's taking the last shot of the game? No, who's taking the last shot of the game? In most of the games, it's Jokic taking the last shot.
Okay, so who would you rather have? Who would you rather have? A Jamal Murray who's off one night, or an Andrew Wiggins and a Kelly Oubre? Who would you rather have?
That's not the question. We're talking about MVP.
My point is this. Stephen Curry has all of the defensive attention on him. Nikola Jokic does not. That's my point. And that's exactly why Stephen Curry is the MVP.
We are once again up against the clock, Justin. We got plenty more basketball talk to come. Interestingly enough, no one mentioned Joel Embiid, who Vegas has as the odds-on favorite as we speak. The Los Angeles Lakers are coming off a historic run in the NBA bubble, capturing their 17th championship. They are looking to set the record, an 18th title this June. Are the Lakers still the favorite despite their struggles to win the NBA championship?
You know, Tyler, as much as Justin is going to say they are, because Justin is a Lakers fan, before he convinces you that he is unbiased, he is a Lakers fan, so of course he's going to say they're the favorite. Listen, they're not even the favorite in the Western Conference. Can we just be real here? They're not even the favorite in the Western Conference. The Clippers should be the favorite in the Western Conference. The only reason I don't say the Suns are the favorite in the Western Conference is because they're a little bit inexperienced, so I don't think they'll get out of it. But the Clippers definitely have the firepower, and now that they signed Rajon Rondo, now they have the veteran leadership. Kawhi Leonard is already a veteran. If Paul George decides to keep playing the way he is right now, it's going to be a cakewalk through the Western Conference. And then from there, I think it's going to be Nets versus Clippers in the finals.
A cakewalk, Angel. Did you see what Paul George did in that Western Conference?
This is why I said if he continues to play the way he's doing now.
I hear if. All I hear is if. What does that have to do with anything? The Lakers are the defending
Keep in mind,
champions.
this is the same dude that just made an if argument
Angel,
with the Celtics.
No.
You just made an if argument for Danny Ainge.
Angel,
I'm
listen. Just listen.
Talk to me.
Yeah. Let me talk then. The Lakers are the defending champions, okay? They're the best defensive team in the league with and without Anthony Davis and LeBron James.
20th in offense, by the way. Just want to put that out
20th in offense after they've only played 23 games with their two best players, okay? With LeBron and Anthony Davis, the Lakers were 17-6, the best team in the league in terms of record-wise, right? When Anthony Davis went down, the Lakers played 4 games without him. They were 4-0. Without Anthony Davis and LeBron James, the Lakers went 7-10 without LeBron, and they are 11-10 without Davis, okay? Sure, what you can say, oh, they're 24th in offensive rating. It doesn't matter. They haven't had their 2 best players. Come playoff time, Davis will be healthy, LeBron will be healthy, they'll be the best team in the West, and just like they did last year, they're going to run the table and meet probably the Nets in the NBA Finals.
So does chemistry not matter to you at all? Does chemistry not matter? The ability to play with the starting
Davis
five
and LeBron played the whole last year together.
Do you not realize that the position that Anthony Davis was forced to play in is now going to be occupied by Andre Drummond, which now means that
his most comfortable position is the 4.
10 games or 12 games to figure out how to play with Andre Drummond. You realize that, right?
Angel, did you watch any of the playoffs last year in the bubble?
I watched.
Okay, so then you know that the Lakers don't run the same lineup against certain teams. They play according to the matchups.
Correct.
So if Davis needs to play the 5 against a small ball team, he'll play the 5. When the Lakers need to play big, they'll play Drummond at the 5 and Davis at the 4. They're a flexible team. That's what makes them great, is that they can adapt to any situation.
This is my issue with the Lakers. They have a severe lack of firepower, even though they tried to compensate by signing Dennis Schroeder and Montrezl Harrell. They still couldn't make up for the firepower that they're losing.
What are you talking about?
How are they 20th in offensive rating when they have 2 Six-Man of the Year candidates that they just signed? Then they sign on Andre Drummond, and they're still 20. What'd you say? 24th? I think they're 20th.
You said 24th. Right?
I said 20th, but you said 24th, so I'll go with 24th. 24th in offensive rating. I mean, that's ridiculous. It can't just be LeBron James and Anthony Davis. They're going to have to go through the whole playoffs, and the Western Conference is not a joke here. They're going to have to face, right now as it stands, the Portland Trailblazers in the first round. The Trailblazers are no joke.
Who we beat in the first round last year, by the way, pretty handily.
But this isn't the same Trailblazer team.
It's the same
Keep in mind, the Trailblazers were injured until the playoffs. They had no time to play with their full starting 5 until the first round of the playoffs.
They were a healthy team, and Lillard got hurt in
Also,
game
Jusuf
4.
Nurkic is back. I want to let you know that.
Say again?
Jusuf Nurkic, he's back. So
okay.
When he plays against you guys, it's going to be a completely different Trailblazer team. So let's say you get through. Let's say you get through the Western Conference. You think you're going to beat the Nets?
Oh, of course. Did you see them play the Nets a couple weeks ago?
That's so cute. That's so
cute.
Oh
yeah, that's rich. That's
Kevin
rich.
Durant, James Harden, Kyrie Irving, Joe Harris. Now Spencer Dinwiddie just tweeted here. He tweeted a Floyd Mayweather quote: "Just give me 6 weeks and I'll be ready." Jeff Green. Blake Griffin.
Green. Oh my goodness.
That team is so incredibly deep. It is absurd, and you guys can't compete with it. I don't.
Okay, so tell me, KD just went down with an injury, right? What are you gonna do?
He's coming back tomorrow.
What are you gonna do when Kyrie Irving all of a sudden decides that he needs to go and be part of some social protest? What are you gonna do when James Harden all of a sudden...
Listen, you can stick to your hypotheticals. I like to
talk. You
literally
stuck to a hypothetical earlier and said if Paul George.
I can talk. I like to speak in fact
you can't have it both ways, my friend.
The Nets are favorites for this title. They're 39-20 without having their top 3 players on the same floor more than 5 games. It's ridiculous that we're even.
And you're not going to have your top 3 players, Angel. All 3 players have had either injury histories or histories off the court where they don't play. So you're going to tell me
when it's time for the playoffs, do you think Kyrie Irving's going to say, "Well,
where was he when he was on the Celtics?
Watch a movie today."
Where was he on the
decide
Celtics?
Not to play?
Where was he on the Celtics when they were in the playoffs, huh? Where was he?
But that was 3 years ago. What are you talking about?
Yeah, 3 years ago.
That literally has nothing to do with the situation right now.
It does, because he took
they have
time
a
off with the
legitimate
Nets
chance
as well.
to win a title. The Nets are easily getting out of the East, and by the time they get through the East, they're going to be fresh, and the Lakers are going to be battered if they get through the West.
Battered?
If they get through the West.
You're saying that the time that Davis has to heal,
Clippers,
LeBron the
Jazz,
time to heal,
Trailblazers, 4 teams in there. I can even say Nuggets, 5 teams in there that are the same or better than the Lakers. And that's
all teams that were beaten by the Lakers in last year's
case.
playoffs.
I'm not sure we're ever going to get to an agreement here, but we can agree on one thing. After months of trying to get Justin in the studio, months of getting Angel off the golf course, these 2 delivered today. That is all the time we have on WEBN Sports Off the Bench. For the final time, good night.